Yes, by the way, welcome back to Aladdin. You know, pretty big achievement to win the Top Shark twice. Nice to have him back here. It's going to be really good. I think it's one of my best combination of speakers I've ever had. I think they're going to be really nice.
Yes, coach, we love it. Your plan is my first thing.
I love my job right now. So, welcome everybody. Everybody's here. I think the only guy who's not here yet is Bruno. He's going to be here tomorrow because he's auditioning for a big French TV show. So this year the theme, I've been thinking quite a bit about an overall theme I wanted for the seminar. And I thought in 2019, after so many years of poker and professional poker, that the theme should be how to develop and or maintain a competitive edge on the rest of the crowd in pro poker. So this is really going to be the theme. It's going to be excellence, looking for ways to either develop some edge or maintain some edge if you have one already. The typical schedule on a daily basis is the same. We do sports or an activity in the morning, 10 to 12. Then we have lunch. It's going to be the same thing as last year at the cafeteria from 12:30 to 2. And then we're going to start at 2:30 again. So I went for your feedback from last year where you wanted some time to rest a little bit. So we will resume at 2:30. Then we will have a speaker from 2:30 to 4:30, take a little break, 15 minutes, then talk about strategy for about 2 hours. And then at 6:30 we'll be done. And then dinner will be at 9. So again, it leaves you guys time to do whatever if you want. I mean, the weather is unfortunately not so good, but you can do paddle, you can go to the spa, whatever. And so you have like a few hours to kind of chill or whatever you want to do until 9 o'clock when we will have dinner. So that's going to be for every night. 9:40 tomorrow is, you guys have to be ready because we'll be leaving here from the parking lot. It's about a 10-minute drive from here. We're doing an escape game. I don't know if you guys have done that before. You know what it is? Our speaker tomorrow is a former track and field champion. He was a champion in 400-meter hurdles, and he's a world champion and a European champion. His name is Stéphane Diagana. He's a very famous guy. If you're French, you definitely have seen him on TV. Really cool guy. He's going to give us a speech about excellence and excellence, in his opinion, being a team sport. But you'll understand more about the presentation tomorrow. The other speakers are, so there's going to be Pierre Gauthier, as I mentioned already. Thank you. And the other speaker, his name is Emmanuel Prosic. A few of you actually have met him already. Davidi, you have, and Gaël, you have. That was on the Dans la tête d'un joueur de poker, you know, the poker mind thing. Emmanuel is a neuroscientist. He's really specifically specializing for the last few years on the decision-making process. The theme is going to be basically bringing together everything that we will have gone over, and it's going to be between you guys to debate how do we maintain or develop a competitive advantage in 2019 poker industry, you know, based on everything that will have happened before. No, that's going to be at the end of the seminar.
Now.
But you can start thinking about it now.
Let's go. Let's go.
Ça y est, ça commence là? On n'est pas au bon endroit, faut sortir.
Musta! You jump, Musta!
Oh, you can rebuy the fruits.
You need to ask her, look, I'm here one more day. Do you
No,
make
I
private
have a
lesson?
girlfriend now.
No, not for me, I have a girlfriend. I'm really happy.
The same as last year? Sure,
3 years. Yeah.
3 years already.
You're coming to Monte Carlo?
Impressive. Aladdin is the only single. Free. Logique. The only free, man. Tu peux remettre dans le film quand j'ai dit que j'avais une meuf. I was dreaming about cards. I was just like 1 year or something. Then you start to.
5 years. 6 years. Every year.
No, I was really literally dreaming about cards all the time.
Me too, everyone.
And thinking about
Thinking about it all the time.
Like 16 to 19 is banking.
All the time.
I was poker book in the class, like all the time. And kids punish me and take my poker book and all.
I was playing against stupid AI, like World Series on your phone. You get stupid AI that was doing all the same thing all the time.
It was especially when I did like long cash game sessions. After that, like when I close my eyes, I see Jack of Diamonds, 8 of Clubs.
Ouais, je pense que le high roller c'est le 21. Direct.
But there is also like
Non, je suis presque sûr que c'est le 21.
Arrête de n'importe quoi. Paris Ouais, combien 100K.
100K.
Ouais. 100K roupies. Le premier jour, il y a le starter.
Ouais, mais le premier jour c'est le 20.
Et il y a, ah ouais, bah je me perds alors. Merde. Bon, j'ai perdu tout ma banque. Sans patate.
Grave sans protection.
C'est le premier mec à grimper El Capitan.
Ok, c'est genre une montagne à Oulour.
Yeah, but
C'est méga sick. It's insane.
it's almost 2,000 meters high and the guy has no rope.
And he does it
And
like
he
what,
can
3
swim
or 4 hours?
4 hours, which is insane.
4 hours.
Some people are doing like
Some
3
people,
days.
they take 3 days to do it. They does it without anything, any safety.
Bro, the filming camera was shitting their pants.
And
They were super scared.
The guys are
extremely hard.
Are his friends, so they're super scared for his life.
They're professional climbers.
They're all professional climbers, they know the risk.
Yeah,
He took a flip. He took a flip for his life.
Really?
That bad. Okay, on the practices on the days before, he fell 2 or 3 times on the with the ropes. Obviously, with the ropes, nothing happens. But he fell 2 or 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
One tricky spot where he
Danger is super real.
to do it. Oh my
one
god,
tricky spot where
Adrenaline junkie, man.
Maybe you don't know what is 400 hurdles. So it's one lap over the track and with 10 hurdles that are 35 meters between each hurdle. So it's basically really a sprint because it's a long distance sprint, but it's still a sprint, not like 800 meters. That is the first event for middle distance. And you have to manage the fatigue with the hurdles, and you have a stride pattern, and you have to keep the momentum, but to stay, clear in your mind to be at the right distance for the hurdles. You know, you understand it's really important. So it's a maturity event. So when you are young, you need time to get this ability to manage the hurdles, your stride pattern, and to adapt when there's wind, backwind or tailwind or face wind, because you have to react really quick. So you need a lot of autonomy during the race. And I will show you 2 moments of my career. So the world title in 1997 and the European title in 2002, just to give you an idea of what it was. So I was a quick opener, what I could call, and the difficulty was at the end for me, with the whole coming back behind. But for me it was 400 meters and not 402.
So tired, yeah. That you were focusing on being a world champion, Olympic champion,
Yeah.
European champion. I would guess that was your main goal.
Yeah.
That was your long-term goal.
Yeah.
But you have a long-term goal, but you need a short-term motivation.
Sure.
How did you focus your short-term motivation? Did you wake up every day and go, I'm gonna be an Olympic champion, I'm gonna be a world champion as well? Or did you focus more, today I'm gonna lift this amount, or I'm gonna do this technical? Did you have daily goals, short-term goals?
Sure.
Or did you focus mainly on the main goal that just dragged everything?
No. As I said, it's really important to have the big picture and the long-term goal, you know. And then I say, okay, I want to read that. So what do I have to do on a daily basis every morning? Why do I come to this training session? Why? What do I have to improve on that drill or on my technical running hurdle technique or running technique?
So you divided everything. I want to be
Sure,
champion. For that, I need to be technical. To be technical, I need to be good today.
The 5 pillars on which performance can be confidence, motivation, potential. You need potential, of course, but it's really difficult to know the potential of an athlete. When I was 19 and when I entered the National Training Center, if you had all the experts of 400 hurdles in the world, maybe they wouldn't have guessed the career I had. So it's really difficult to find the potential, and for the coach, the role is to turn potential into skills, the 4th pillar, and then the delivery, the D-Day. This is the most important, the most interesting, and I think for an athlete it's the most challenging, because it demands a lot of yourself. Because if you deliver or not when this is strong, this is solid, and with this is solid, if you don't deliver the D-Day, it means that you have to consider why you don't perform the D-Day, and it's really challenging to you. In 1995, I broke the European record. It's still the European record, so it's 24 years now. And 1 month after, they were the World Championship, and I got 3rd only. And I know that I was that time I didn't run well, and that I missed something because I had the potential to reach the 1st place. I got bronze medal, but everybody was pleased around, the media, and everybody was pleased because it was my 1st global medal. But for me it was like a nightmare, you know. And 2 years before I got 4th. Everybody was disappointed for me, and I was really pleased because I broke my personal best, and I knew at that time I was on my way to be one day world champion or Olympic champion.
Did you feel a lot of pressure before the big races, or the fact that you were just physically and technically ready, just like you couldn't feel any pressure because you said, okay, I'm ready and I just need to run?
No, you always feel stress and pressure. All the champions, even when it looked easy for Usain Bolt, or I knew Hicham El Guerrouj from Morocco, 1500. He's a world record holder. And the day of his race, the morning, I just met his coach, and I asked, did he sleep well? Did Hicham sleep well? He said, no, but it would be a bad sign. He always never slept well, whether he win or not. But
and could you remember what you were seeking during the races, important races, or did you forget, or were you just focused on technique? Or?
Yeah, when thinking is a too elaborate process. It's not possible because it's fast. As I said,
you were thinking about the mechanics or something?
It's just you receive information and the data, and you treat the data, you react, and you have a gusty winds that slow you down, and the hurdle is coming in 0.6 of a second, you have to react properly on the ground, just to push harder or to give more reason. So it's not thinking. If you think about
But when the race starts, there is no more stress or no more pressure. You're just in your zone. Okay.
Yeah,
it disappears completely.
It's the pressure is before, is waiting, and maybe you feel the same. And when you are in, it's totally
And you
different.
think the pressure is good? It's good
Yeah.
to get pressure, not too much, or
Yeah, it's good. It's just some people call about that study people that study stress. They call it stress and stretch. Stretch, it's like, you know, it gives it helps you to give the best out of you. And stress is like a pressure that prevents you from giving the best out of you. So it looks the same, but year after year, with the experience, you can feel the difference between.
It's called al dente. It's very simple place. You will eat with 6 pounds, but it's like eating in Rome.
Lots of good Italian restaurants in London.
No, this is very easy. Like for lunch, if you wanna go, 6 pounds it costs. 6 pounds, and it's the best cacio e pepe you can get.
Where is it?
There is like 3 locations, I think. One is next to my house. Al dente. I go. It's next to my house, like
Next to Black Sheep Coffee.
pretty good. Exactly.
What we're gonna do is gonna try to find common ground. We're gonna try to find some approaches that might be interesting, and the whole idea of the whole presentation is to create points of discussions in the middle of the subject, and then to try to come with a global idea, global common ground from different ways each of us think about the game, and then let's just see what we can use as a common ground, what we can dismiss as not so relevant these days, and see what we can find. How I approach it. To think how I approach the game and how I approach online poker MTT, which is the main focus of this presentation. I'll give you a little history of online poker. Not my history, but my vision about the history. So here we go. Early days, whoever knew how many cards were in the deck and was not using drugs or getting drunk was winning. There was not much information at this time. The school of thought wasn't a thing. We didn't have a guideline. Everything was very primitive. Everything was very unprofessional to a certain extent. People who were doing well on live were still doing well online. The only piece of information was Super System and all those old books. And people learn how to play, and they would play. They would not think. It was not very structured. Then the first tools era. This is when Equilab was around, ICM was the thing we heard, coaching websites, Car Runners was up. The first online pros era. Talking about the ones, the Brian Hastings, the first area of online poker. That's when we started actually to develop the strategic game to new levels. And then the exploit years. Believe this is where most of us started. Some of the older generation started a bit earlier, probably on the first 2 years. I don't think, or the early days a little bit. I don't know, no, not even that. And then this was the exploit years. Everything was focused on how to exploit the mistakes of my opponent. This is like 2012, 13, 14, 2010, around that area. The whole game was based on your opponent. Everyone had a little tricks, a little strategy, little things they would do that would work, and that's what brought success. The best players were the ones who could take the most advantage of opponents while not being too exploited. The focus was on the opponent. And then I think this is a moment that people don't give. Nobody talks about history of poker, but nobody gives the relevant importance to unexploited open shove sheets. This was very, very revolutionary at the time. This was the first time that poker community approached one spot, which was a simple spot, 10 BBs, small blind versus button. I go all in with this hands, you call with this hands, nobody's making money. It was the strategy, the narrative started was impossible to exploit strategy. Brought us here, the pioneer era. This area changed poker completely. It was extremely revolutionary. This was a very big change in how we approach and how we study the game. This was very recent. We all been through this phase. During this area, the focus changed completely from the opponent, the max EVA area where we exploit the opponent, to optimal. there was a clear change of focus. I was trying to optimal play against the opponent. Now I'm trying to play optimal itself.
There are two dogs, and the rest of the villagers, some of the villagers have special powers.
Ah oui, voilà.
That they can use at night.
Okay.
So it's like during daytime we all talk together, and most of the action actually takes place at night. So at night the werewolf, they look at each other, they can kill someone.
At night, everyone close their eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like really, for real?
Yes, for real, for
But
real.
there is a narrator who will ask each time in order to do what you just need to do what the narrator
Okay, somebody's the narrator, but he's not
Someone
playing.
doesn't play. I'm gonna be the narrator.
Okay.
Because you don't see the other cards.
Ouais, d'accord, mais après pour les potes.
Okay, it's the night. Everybody, fall asleep. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes.
Nighttime.
Everybody, this is daylight. This is daylight.
It was a good night. What's the last thing? He can't save his head.
Yeah, the witch can save himself. So the bad news is someone died last night. Someone is gonna have a long hour coming because he won't be able to play, and it's Silva. I'm sorry, get out.
Silva, can you order some drinks?
You have to show, no?
Yeah.
Okay, but now we know. Okay.
My girlfriend is happy, she's gonna be happy.
He was one of the bold guys.
Okay, guys. What do you want me to do? Do you want you to review?
Yeah, like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. You have to designate someone. 3, 2, 1. Show your vote. Yeah,
Allez, bien joué, bonne chance.
show your vote, everybody. Okay, stop. Who's voting for Aladdin?
Oh, allez, salut Alain.
Aladdin is dead. Show your card. Show your card.
C'est pas moi. Je monte ma carte. T'es mort. C'est pas moi.
Fucking Léo. Léo.
C'est des racistes.
Guys, no talking after.
Ivan, je me souviens de la phrase. Remember my finger. Remember my finger.
She used to play a lot this game, and they have a conflict between who is So have to be two people who used to play a lot. Because if you are the first time, you didn't say no, this.
Like they are experts.
It's two players that used to play a lot and kill two good players, Sylvain and Harper. So it's not me. Because they're not good. So
Dummy. Obviously you're gonna vote against me.
so they both are friends. That's for sure.
No.
If takes some cake, he's gonna get some.
Because both have big personalities.
He's gonna skip
Like,
the
I'm going to fight.
and come back who's dead.
Like if Steph is not for sure because
Bro, I didn't know
time if he's not like fighting like no, I want to.
I didn't know we would.
Yeah, it's
I thought it was 5 minutes with this guy. I was getting into
C'est but. Yann, c'est un malade.
Romain.
15 seconds. Get ready to vote. 10 seconds.
Let's vote Gaël.
Let's go. 5 seconds. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Vote. Show your vote. Whoa. Who's voting for Romain? Raise your hand.
For Romain?
For Romain.
Who's voting for Romain?
Votez Romain.
Leo, who are you voting for? Okay, Adrien, who are you voting for? Volata, okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people for Romain. I think it's already over. Ah, yeah, c'est
You wanna walk?
pensais que j'étais trop grillé.
No, bro, you made it.
That's a sick three. That's a sick three.
No, but I knew
sick three.
En fait, c'est ça. En fait, il a fait que des trucs involontaires pour que tout le monde entende aussi.
No discussion, everybody, please. Romain is out, no discussion.
He defend Romain so bad, bro.
Okay, that's over. Mustafa, no discussion. It's the end of the day. Congratulations. You killed the wolf. No, you need some rest. Go back to sleep, everybody. One of you didn't have a nice night because he's dead, or should I say she's dead. Goodbye, Gail.
What?
So, who you were? It's not my fault. Show your card. Your card is no, is this one. Yeah. No, this is Yohan. This is Yohan. Yeah, it's your card. No, I think it's just a villager. Just a villager.
Pourquoi la witch?
la witch, elle fait
C'est évident, elle fait quoi
Because
la
the
witch?
witch is a bitch. You should know.
They are clear suspects. This is clear.
Okay, guys.
Non, Ivan is so pure.
100% sure. 100%.
Okay, Leo. Leo is not saying anything. He talks all the time.
Leo is not. And maybe it's you. I don't know.
The world should be excited. This is fucked up. Okay, who's voting for Adrien? Raise your hand if you're voting for Adrien. You're voting for Adrien? Okay, raise your hand. So
The first two rounds it didn't
Just
solve.
two people.
What the fuck?
Who's voting for Adrien?
Me, I'm
Adrien is not.
Who's voting for Ivan?
Pas tout le monde.
Who's voting for Pierre? Who's voting for Pierre?
Join the team.
Adrien, go to
Two people for Pierre.
No, no. And Adrien
I
vote
vote
for
Pierre.
Pierre as well.
Pierre, I vote Pierre.
You vote Pierre too?
Yeah.
Four.
Okay.
Four.
No, three.
Four with him.
I vote Pierre.
No, I voted in this three.
I was voting for
Oh,
Pierre.
you vote for Pierre too? Okay. Okay, that's over. You can know your hand.
That's you.
Okay, Pierre, you're there.
Oui, mais c'était sûr.
Villagers, you suck.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe là?
Okay, go back to sleep.
Let's kill Ivan.
I will kill one of these guys.
No.
100%.
Trust me,
One in this time.
Adrien, now you are my friend, not Adrien. I swear.
Why not Adri?
Because he told me something that nobody could tell me. Okay, so he's important. So for sure, he's gonna be killed like next night or something. Okay? Adrien.
Why?
Yes, because he's an
This
important person. Because he's an important person.
This Adrien.
We have to remember who voted
He
for
defended,
Leo.
bro. Just one thing.
the wolf-
When
the wolf
he
voted
defended
for the same
so hard, Romain, so hard. He was like, no, don't vote, no, Romain, no, and that was a big tell for
I
me.
cannot speak to you because
I voted for him twice already.
Him.
Or maybe Joao.
Mustafa, look at me. It's not him. 100%.
So who?
100%.
No, now you're dead.
Okay, so Leo, you're dead.
You are very good players.
He's innocent. You are bad villagers. Bad villagers.
You guys are so fucking mad. Of course,
Don't forget to bring wine, guys.
Remember my finger.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the seer to wake up. Just the seer, of course, and show me one people. Wow, what a night. What a crazy night, because it's two people died tonight.
Wow.
I can't say who killed who, so I'm just gonna ask you to leave Adrien and Ivan. Get that. Show your cards. The seer is dead. And
T'as survécu beaucoup trop longtemps. Depuis tout à l'heure, I said you since the beginning. I tell you. And the werewolf. Okay, it's simple. It's them too.
okay, guys, you got 3 minutes. 3 minutes to decide.
You've been accusing me. You're the only one that's
Yeah, but you are too
6
smart,
players
so
left.
You will not be
6 players left. 6 players left. One more.
No, because you know that I'm the witch and you don't be that
You're the only one saying for
straightforward.
me. I would have killed you. I'm not.
Yeah.
I would clearly kill you. That's for sure.
This is you, man.
He's
He's the camera and for sure.
Je pense que c'est
For sure, for sure.
Je pense
Put down this camera now. Seriously. Now we're 5, okay? You are hiding yourself for 1 hour.
Put on the camera now.
That's the truth, bro.
It's him.
You cannot say the cards. I was unprotected. I was doing okay. Because Adrien knew it was the seer and he was telling
100%.
No, but that's why it sucks the game.
I hope you forgive me. I thought it was you for a while. He was a good guy. I'll see you in the morning.
What time was it?
9:45 in the lobby here, and then we walk.
I wasn't.
M'attendez pour la prochaine?
Ça roule. T'es chaud pour le yoga? C'est parti.
Lasagna is your favorite meal?
There is a few that I really like. Passatelli in brodo. You need to be Italian to try this shit. Very, indoor shit. Passatelli in brodo. It's a pasta made with Parmesan cheese, 70% Parmesan cheese, and then cooked in the broth. Mamma mia. They give at a school once a year this pasta. I will take 7 plates. Don't give a shit.
And we also have this year Emmanuel Prosik, who's a doctor in neuroscience, who works for the CNRS, which is the National Center of Scientific Research. He's specializing in brain studies and mostly the cognitive and learning process of the brain. I hope I'm describing it okay. He conducted research in Yale at Yale University for 4 years, and now he's been back in France since 2003, I guess. And today, so this is really what he's specializing on, is the decision-making process and the different factors that are involved in making decisions. So we're talking about from the brain standpoint, right? So it's very science-oriented, I guess. But I thought it was a very relevant topic for you guys, since most of what you do is really based on making good decisions, or making decisions anyway, sometimes good, sometimes not.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the invitation. That's great. So to continue what Stefan was saying, I will present some scientific facts about decision making and emotion, but from what I've heard yesterday, I think you know already a lot about yourself and how you make decisions and how you control your emotions. So I think it's going to be interesting when you see some of the information I will give connect with your experience. Maybe we can stop and talk a little bit about it and expand on that. You probably know, some of you know this, okay? Who doesn't know this?
I don't know.
Okay. So anyway, you're going to play it, right? You can do it. This is a test called the Stroop test. It's a test of neuropsychology, which is used to detect lesions of the frontal cortex in patients. And it works very efficiently, so you will see. there are three conditions. Okay, this is condition one. This is the control condition. So I put these three languages for you to use. I mean, I couldn't put four because it would be too crowded, but you use whichever you prefer. And the idea is that you read as fast as possible from top to bottom the words that are written on the list, right? You take one of the list and you read very fast. So usually the guy would take a chronometer and measure the time. So you need to be very fast. So in French would be rouge, bleu, vert, bleu. Okay? And you do that as fast as possible. Then there is a second condition. The second condition, you will need to actually name the color of the letters. Okay, as fast as possible from top to bottom. And again, we chronometer. Okay, I take the time. So in French it would be rouge, vert, bleu, rouge, bleu.
Next step, c'est durant.
Okay. Now the test condition is called the true condition. So you need to do it. So you can do it aloud or you can do it in your head. Okay, that's it's either way. And you will have to again name the color of the letters from top to bottom as fast as possible. Okay, without making an error. You ready? Go.
Vas-y, fais-le. Non, mais non, pas libre, il faut faire l'inverse. La couleur, pas rouge,
Exactly. So it's easier if it's not your language. And that's why I put three examples. So the idea is that you have the two systems that are at play. So
you have to say green or blue?
Green. So you have to say the color.
So if you do it in French, right? Yeah, that would be vert, rouge, bleu, rouge, vert, bleu.
Ah, tu faut dire la couleur.
I should have said the instruction in French. Okay, so anyway, when you do it, you feel that you're slower. You need slightly more effort to do this test. And this is because your system one, the automatic system, is actually is used to read. So anything you see, when you see a bottle, you read without being conscious of reading. That's an automatic behavior you produce all the time. And when I give you the instruction to name the color, actually it's an instruction that requires control to inhibit or avoid system one to act. And so you have to put control to answer the instruction.
You will be dead.
So you can
very
actually learn to use strategies, for instance. So if you learn strategies like you do in poker, then after a while this strategy can become
system one.
System one.
And it can be dangerous at the same time.
Yeah. It can be dangerous. We'll talk about this later.
Is that the concept of conscious incompetence or unconscious competence?
So
system one meaning
system one is usually
unconsciously
unconscious.
competent.
Yes, absolutely. It's usually unconscious habits, for instance, and skills. Whereas system two is usually associated to conscious control and voluntary
Conscious
control.
competence. Would you agree with the common belief, at least from a scientific point, that the more conscious, the more unconscious competence you have, the more room you have for conscious competence, for new skills, the more, let's just say our discipline, poker, the more you are automatic, the more things you can do automatically that required less effort, the more room you'll have for growth on new subjects. Is that correct? Otherwise, it would be too overloaded with system 2.
Yeah, so
and then it'd be harder to.
It would be harder to do the task. So basically,
or learn new stuff as well, or no?
Well, if you have many stuff to learn at the same time, yeah, it would be. So the system 2 is limited in capacity. Okay. That's something that research have discovered, is that you can't learn too many things at the same time. You can't do too many tasks at the same time because your brain is just being able to a limited capacity, attention and effort at the same time.
It happens very frequent when you're in a situation, let's say we're all in pre-flop or something like that, we're on a flip, which it's never exactly 50-50, but it's somewhere in the realm. And I see this with people that I know, people who are usually overconfident and probably ran a little above the expected value in life, or at least for their perception they did, they'll be a bit more overconfident on the outcome result, and people are a bit more risk adverse. Well, even though the situation it's almost indifferent to them, and they have more of that convict themselves of the outcome, if it's positive or negative. They will be overconfident one way or another for no rational reason, and this happens very often when we are on a good swing. It feels like you're always gonna win your flips. On a bad swing, the opposite looks like, I was sure I was gonna. Why were you sure? It's still chance. It's still 50-50, kind of 41, 49, 50, 51.
Do you think it's a bad thing that you're
It's a real,
when it's going on?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's a good thing to be able to train yourself in a positive sort of reflection, and if it doesn't happen, you're back to rational. Whereas it's dangerous in a negative way only, but in a positive way, I think it's not dangerous at all.
If you waste too much energy on something that's out of your control, and it's not going to help you improve in the long run, I think it's detrimental in that way. If you can train to don't really care about, my decision was made before this 50-50 occurred. If my decision was correct, I should be happy. If my decision wasn't incorrect, I should go back and correct it. So after the cards are, after it's up to chance.
So you believe
after
that
you're not in control, I think you should just focus.
But there is many.
That's possible.
There is stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, I think so. We have some guys who are not that emotional.
No, but
I think that feeling great about the outcome helps you not in that moment, but in making best decision after. Like if you're in a good mood, you will think much better than if you are in a negative mood.
But you're associating feeling on a good mood as being confident. You can be confident that I made a great play, I'm feeling good, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and whatever happens after this situation, I'm still gonna be confident even if I win.
I think in life we've been so much trained of not
No,
doing
but what I'm saying is that you'll be confident.
And so in poker it's not natural, and
I think it's...
I agree with you that it would be a good thing to work, and it would be a less spending of energy used less.
Well, you were talking about life experiences. I think we can all kind of relate easier in Vegas, where I've tried the first few times to go full speed, it's 45 days. And at one point I said, this is not the way to go. I have to save energy, or at least pace myself to when it matters.
Emmanuel, merci beaucoup.
Le gars qui a fait le plus de pompes d'affilée.